Ladies and gentlemen, these days we truly are living in the era of the Elixir fragrance. That's why I've chosen my two favorite Elixir fragrances from the designer world, and I'm pitting them against one another. That's right, tonight we have Dior Sauvage Elixir going up against Boss Bottled Elixir. Stick around for this one. Hey, welcome back to Real Scent Review. So yeah, it's gonna be an Elixir night tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't gonna be no eau de toilette night. No, it's not gonna be an eau de parfum. It's not even gonna be a parfum night. This is going to be Elixir all the way. So I hope you've come ready to party. But on a more serious note, what is an Elixir fragrance? So in the context of perfumery, Elixir basically refers to the concentration of a fragrance. So we have eau de cologne, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, parfum, and then Elixir. Elixir is supposedly the most concentrated fragrance concentration that exists. It's debatable as to whether or not it is actually more concentrated than a parfum or an extrait de parfum, which are both the same thing, by the way, or if it's just a marketing buzzword made to grab people's attention. But regardless, it cannot be denied that the Elixir fragrance trend has taken the world by storm. It all started with the release of Dior Sauvage Elixir in 2021. This one here, very well known, famous at this point. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people think it's overly synthetic, some people think it represents just, toxic masculinity, things of that nature. Other people, myself included, think it's a very nice fragrance, very intense, spicy, and aromatic. The point is, this is the fragrance that started the Elixir trend. Since then, we have had many, many more. We've had Paco Rabanne's 1 Million Elixir, we've had Paco Rabanne's Invictus Elixir, we've had Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Mal Elixir, we've had Hugo Boss The Scent Elixir, and we also have, from the year 2023, Hugo Boss Bottled Elixir. Out of all of those elixirs, I have narrowed them down to my two favorites, which are going to be the Dior Sauvage Elixir, obviously, and the Boss Bottled Elixir. To be completely transparent with you guys, I just don't like any of the other ones. Literally, they're the only two that I enjoy. So let's pit these two bad boys against one another and see who comes out on top. Gonna start off with Dior's Sauvage Elixir. So in the opening, I get a lot of nutmeg and cinnamon. In the mid, lavender, licorice, and pine. And in the Drydown, amber, cedar, and oak moss. It's a very bracing, warm, spicy, aromatic opening because of that spicy nutmeg. The nutmeg is quite biting, it's quite piercing at the beginning here. It could be a little bit of a shock to the senses of some people. Some people are going to smell this opening and just be completely turned off, and they're not going to give this fragrance a chance. I totally understand that. It is very intense, especially in the opening there. Although after a few minutes, that initial sharpness is mellowed out by that sweet, earthy cinnamon. In the mid here, we get a lot of lavender, so that's going to add a sweet, aromatic spice, but it's more of a soft spice that leans kind of towards the clean yet sweet, aromatic shave cream type of characteristic. And that's going to be met with some licorice, some nice, spicy, sweet licorice. And I also get some pine, so it's a very camphoric, piney characteristic, very forest-like. And that's going to dry down to some nice, sweet, kind of dusty amber. It's not overly vanillic or cloyingly sweet or anything. It's more of just that dusty, vaguely vanillic kind of feeling there in the background. Never goes totally sweet to my nose at all. And also we're going to get some cedar, some very woody cedar. Now I find in this, it's just like the woody component of the cedar really stands out as opposed to the aromatic, almost, I want to say smokiness of cedar that exists in a lot of other fragrances. I don't get those characteristics in this. Like I said, mostly it's just like the woodiness that I get from the cedar. And also, I swear in the background, I get just a touch of like fuzzy, damp, woody oak moss as well. So all in all, this one reminds me of an aromatic fougere with a lot of spices and a little bit of a modern kind of sweetened up twist to it. This here, I am not ashamed to admit, I love this. I wear it all the time. It's one of my favorite fragrances. I know not everybody out there is going to agree with me, but I mean, I just think this is such a good fragrance. When this was released, I mean, it was honestly pretty unique. There was really not a whole lot else on the market that smelled like this. Nowadays, you know, there are a ton of clones out there, of course. But like I said, when this was released, man, this was a shocker in a very positive way as far as I'm concerned. It does, you know, remind me of aromatic fougères, absolutely, just with a really nice, intriguing twist. Now the performance, I don't even need to go in depth about this. The performance on this is absolutely beast mode. Hours of projection, multiple hours of longevity on the skin. However, its downfall is that it's not extremely versatile, mostly because of the performance, but also the scent profile can be a little bit jarring for some people. I can totally understand that. But yeah, this is a monster performer. I personally think it does definitely have its place among somebody's professional, formal fragrance repertoire. Absolutely. I'm absolutely in love with the scent profile. I think it's an amazing scent. But you know, realistically, there are a good amount of people out there who just find this a little bit too intense. And I totally understand that. I totally respect that. Awesome fragrance all the same. Another downside is the price. This is a very expensive fragrance for a designer. For example, in the United States right now, this runs between 160 US to 240. The lower price there is for the 60 mil. The higher one is for the 100 mil. So yeah, quite expensive. And here in the European Union, it's a little bit better, not much better, running between 130 euros to 180 euros. Like I said, the lower price is for the 60 mil. The higher one is for the 100 mil. As expensive as it is right now, Black Friday is coming up, and I know that Joe Mashop and FragranceNet, among many other discounters, are going to be having some big sales. So keep an eye out for this one. Dior Sauvage Elixir might go on sale. It's not one of those fragrances that always goes on sale during holidays, events like that, but sometimes it does, so it really helps to keep looking out at all your favorite discounting websites to be able to catch this one at a discounted price. But yeah, that's been Dior Sauvage Elixir, the elixir that started them all. And now moving on to Boss Bottled Elixir. This one here, like I mentioned before, one of very many elixirs that came after Dior Sauvage Elixir. So what do I actually get in this? So in the opening, I get a lot of cardamom and a lot of nutmeg. In the mid, I get some cinnamon and lavender. And in the dry down, labdanum, frankincense, and cedar. So this opens up with the same kind of spice that Dior Sauvage opens with, only in this one, I get a distinct cardamom. The cardamom is going to give it a very kind of black, peppery warmth, as well as a cooling sensation. And there might even be just like a touch of soap there in the background. Cardamom has always reminded me somehow of just soap, like white ivory soap, for example. Anyway, that soapy characteristic is definitely overpowered by the spice, especially because it's also mixed with some nutmeg in the top here. Again, gonna give it a very bracingly spicy, warm experience in the opening. In the mid, we get some cinnamon and some lavender. The lavender in this definitely gives it that aromatic fougere vibe that I get in Dior Sauvage Elixir as well. You know, we get that sweet aromatic spice, again with some cinnamon, gonna add some sweet, earthy warmth to the mid here. Very mellow so far compared to the Dior Sauvage Elixir, although a very similar scent profile. It's just a little bit turned down on the intensity scale compared to the Sauvage Elixir. Now, where this fragrance starts to differ from the Sauvage Elixir as far as scent goes is the dry down. So in this, I get a lot of labdanum and frankincense. So we're gonna get a very resinous, smoky, leathery characteristic. And that is paired with a little bit of cedar. I get a little bit of that aromatic quality, but mostly, again, in this one, just like the Sauvage Elixir, we're getting that woodiness. It's a very distinct woodiness. But yeah, the dry down of this one is a lot more oriental smelling to me compared to the Dior Sauvage Elixir. I get a very distinct frankincense and labdanum. So, you know, the mix of those two notes really reminds me of something like rubbery, leathery, very oriental smelling, almost like a spicy leather with a smoky nuance in the background. In a way, it kind of reminds me of that shoe polish. I've heard some people describe it as industrial characteristic that exists in Chopard's Black Incense Malaki. I definitely do get that in the dry down of the Boss Bottle Elixir. So yeah, the Boss Bottle Elixir does have that aromatic fougere vibe going on, although it ends with that oriental style with the frankincense and the labdanum. Like I said, it's very much as though two different fragrances are combined to make this one fragrance here, Boss Bottle Elixir. I find it quite interesting. I'm quite a fan of the scent profile here. Now, the performance on this one is very good, although I will be honest, it doesn't touch the performance of Sauvage Elixir. So here on the Boss Bottle, I get, you know, an hour and a half, maybe pushing close to 2 hours of solid projection. Arm's length at first, but then it goes less than an arm's length. Anyway, still a really solid projection. Nothing you need to worry about in that department whatsoever. And the longevity, quite good as well. 7, 8, 9 hours, maybe right around that time frame I get. So I consider that to be very good performance. Although, like I said, it's not bombastic. But hey, I mean, that's like comparing two rock bands, right? Like, just because Black Sabbath didn't sell as many albums as the Beatles doesn't mean that Black Sabbath is, you know, a poor rock band or anything like that. Anyway, most of you guys under 45 are not going to understand that reference. But yeah, the point is, just because Boss Bottle Elixir isn't the bomb in terms of performance that Sauvage Elixir is, doesn't mean that it has poor performance at all. It's very good. Another great aspect of the Boss Bottle Elixir is its price. So right now on discounters, it hovers between 70 and 100 US and between 50 and 75 euros here in the EU. Lower price, again, going to be for the 50 ml bottle, and the higher price going to be for the 100 ml bottle. So right off the bat, it's a better price than Dior Sauvage Elixir. If my decision as to which of these is my favorite were purely based on price, definitely the winner then would be Boss Bottle Elixir. But is that really the true winner? Well, here we go, guys. The Dior Sauvage Elixir, very much, to me, a very spicy, modernized aromatic fougere with crazy good performance. This stuff fills a room. I mean, this stuff fills a street, if I'm completely honest with you. While Boss Bottle Elixir starts off with that spicy, aromatic fougere vibe, but dries down into a more oriental, smoky, resinous, leathery deal, I think this is a really interesting scent profile. This one here, the Dior Sauvage Elixir, is going to be less versatile, I would think. This is more of a going out at night scent. If you really want to be noticed, this is something you could wear, although I do honestly think it does hold a spot in somebody's professional fragrance repertoire, like I said. Being conscious of the sprays and, you know, set and setting, things of that nature, be reasonable. But I think overall, the Boss Bottle Elixir wins in the versatility category. Although it's not what I would call a typical designer scent. In fact, sometimes I honestly feel like this kind of smells a little bit niche to me. Even so, I think it definitely is more versatile than the Dior Sauvage Elixir. It has a lot of interesting nuances to this one that you just don't get a lot of in designer perfumery. This one really surprised me. As far as designers go, this I think is a real gem, as is Dior Sauvage Elixir. I feel like you could wear this one to the office just as easily as you could wear it on a date, and because the performance isn't just totally nuclear like it is with this one, you can just get away with wearing it in more places, in a higher number of situations. It's more versatile. I find it's more mass appealing, honestly, than Dior Sauvage Elixir, although there are a lot of people out there that I have met that thoroughly enjoy this one. I've gotten compliments in public on this. but I've also gotten compliments in public from this Boss Bottle Elixir. So which one is it going to be between these two? This is a very difficult decision for me because honestly, I love both of these, but if I had to pick just one, it would be Boss Bottle Elixir. I prefer this scent profile. I really find it interesting. It's professional in a way, but it's also oriental. It's a little bit exotic. It's interesting. It's really interesting. And that paired with its versatility and appeal, honestly, make this a truly exceptional fragrance, in my opinion, Boss Bottle Elixir. This is the one I'm going with for this video, guys. So anyway, that's been my side-by-side comparison video of Dior Sauvage Elixir and Boss Bottle Elixir. I've given you guys my rundown on both, my comparisons. I've given you my preference of the two. Although I gotta say, this was like a super close race here. You really can't go wrong with either one of these. I think both are incredible fragrances. I think both, honestly, are masterpiece designer fragrances. But what do you guys think? What are your opinions? Which one would you guys have chosen out of these two? Let's start the conversation down in the comment section, guys. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna end things for tonight. And until next time, keep it real.